Let's talk about DMX. Earl Simmons, a legend. A man who turned his pain into poetry, his struggles into stories. He came straight out of Yonkers, New York, a place where dreams are often overshadowed by harsh realities. With a rough childhood, music was his escape. It was his sanctuary, his way out of the darkness. He found his voice early, beatboxing and rapping on street corners. Those streets were his first stage, his first audience. He was drawn to hip-hop's rawness, its energy, the way it spoke to the streets. It was more than music, it was a lifeline. He was hungry to make it out, to tell his story. Hip-hop became his life. Every beat, every rhyme was a step towards his dream. But the streets had a hold on him too. They were a constant shadow, a reminder of where he came from. He got caught up in the life, in and out of trouble. The streets tried to pull him back, but he kept pushing forward. But through it all, he held onto his rhymes. They were his therapy, his weapon against the world, his way of fighting back. They were his therapy, his weapon against the world. Each performance, each recording session was a battle won. He was determined to turn his pain into power, to transform his struggles into strength, to make something of himself, to rise above the circumstances that tried to hold him down, to escape the streets that threatened to swallow him whole. And in doing so, he became a beacon of hope for many. The music industry is a beast. It's a relentless, unforgiving machine. Even for the most talented, it can be a brutal journey. DMX learned that the hard way. He was grinding day and night, battling other rappers on the streets, making mixtapes in his small room, trying to get noticed in a sea of talent. But the doors weren't opening. It felt like every opportunity was slipping away. He had the skills, the hunger, the drive, but the industry wasn't ready for his raw intensity. They couldn't handle his unfiltered truth. He kept pushing. He had to. Music was his lifeline, his escape from the chaos. He knew he had something special, a fire that couldn't be extinguished, a voice that resonated with the streets, a voice that spoke the truth. He just needed the right platform, the right opportunity to shine. He wouldn't be denied. His determination was unbreakable, his spirit indomitable. He was a force of nature waiting to be unleashed. And when he finally got his break, the world would never be the same. DMX wasn't your average rapper. He was a force of nature, a raw and unfiltered voice in the world of hardcore hip-hop. He was different, real, raw. His energy was unmatched and his presence was undeniable. His music was a reflection of his life. Every lyric, every beat was a piece of his soul. The streets, the struggle, the pain. He held nothing back. His experiences were laid bare for the world to see. He barked and growled his rhymes. His voice was powerful, unmistakable. It was a voice that demanded to be heard. He wasn't afraid to show vulnerability, to be emotional. His raw honesty connected with fans on a deep level. His music was hardcore. It was intense, filled with raw energy and passion. But it was also deeply personal. His lyrics often revealed his inner struggles and battles. He spoke to the people who felt like they were fighting every day, who understood his pain. His music resonated with those who felt lost and alone. His music was their anthem, their release. It was a lifeline for many who found solace in his words. He was the voice of the voiceless. He gave them hope. He made them feel seen and heard. He let them know they weren't alone. In a world that often felt cold and unforgiving, DMX was a beacon of raw, unfiltered truth. As DMX grew, so did his music. He explored different sounds, different themes. He incorporated rock influences, gospel elements. He wasn't afraid to experiment, to push boundaries, but his core message remained the same. He rapped about his struggles, his faith, his search for redemption. His music became more introspective, more spiritual. He wasn't just a rapper anymore. He was an artist, a poet, a storyteller. He used his platform to inspire, to uplift, to spread a message of hope. 1998, the year everything changed. DMX dropped It's Dark and Hell Is Hot. The album exploded. Get At Me Dog was everywhere. The streets, the clubs, MTV, the song was raw, aggressive, unforgettable. It put DMX on the map. He was a star. The album went multi-platinum. It was a cultural phenomenon. He had arrived. But his success wasn't just about the music. It was about the connection he made with his fans. They felt his pain, his authenticity. He was one of them. He was the real deal. DMX's impact on hip-hop is undeniable. He changed the game. He brought a new level of intensity, of rawness, of vulnerability. He inspired a generation of artists, from 50 Cent to Drake. His influence can be heard in their music. He showed them it was okay to be vulnerable, to be emotional, to be real. He paved the way for a new wave of hardcore hip-hop. Artists who weren't afraid to bare their souls, to speak their truth. He made it okay to be different, to be yourself. DMX's music was unique, raw, energetic, dark, but it was also melodic, atmospheric, cinematic. This was due in part to the talented producers he worked with, guys like Dame Grease, Swizz Beatz. They understood his vision. They helped him create a sound that was both aggressive and soulful. They sampled rock songs, used orchestral instruments. They pushed boundaries. They weren't afraid to experiment. The result was a sound that was both familiar and groundbreaking. Seeing DMX live was an experience. He wasn't just performing, he was preaching, testifying. He poured his heart and soul into every performance. He connected with his fans on a spiritual level. They felt his energy, his passion. He commanded the stage with his presence. He barked his rhymes with ferocity. His shows were raw, unpredictable, unforgettable. He wasn't just an artist, he was a force of nature. DMX's life wasn't easy. He battled demons, addiction, legal troubles. He made mistakes. He fell off track, but he always got back up. He never gave up. He was a fighter. He was open about his struggles. He didn't hide from them. He used his platform to raise awareness about addiction, to let people know they weren't alone, that there was hope, that they could overcome anything. Despite his struggles, DMX had a big heart. He gave back to his community. He worked with charities. He helped those in need. He used his platform to make a difference. He showed that even the toughest exteriors can hide a heart of gold. He was a complex individual, flawed but good. He wanted to make the world a better place. DMX left an indelible mark on hip-hop. His music, his story, his legacy will live on. He was a true original, a voice for the voiceless. He inspired millions with his music. He showed that it's okay to be vulnerable, to be yourself, to overcome adversity. He'll forever be remembered as a legend, a pioneer, a true icon of hip-hop.